Guys, welcome to my first Q&A on YouTube. It's the first one I've done in a year, period. These are always a blast. I love doing them. I love answering your guys' questions. And this time you've got some killers in there. I've been stressing over some of this. I have 9 hours to kill on the way to Michigan here. I have my audio equipment rigged up the best I can in here. Hopefully it sounds pretty decent for you guys. Yesterday I had you guys send in a ton of questions. I'm gonna answer some of those, and then I'm gonna cover some of the stuff that we get asked all the time in the comments. We're talking cars, business, the origins of LeeC parts. I even dug up some really old pictures from back in the day that have never been seen before, probably for good reason. Without further ado, let's get Q&A numero uno underway. First off, let's get the obvious out of the way. There are no less than 15, 20 questions about the 997, and to a lesser extent, the ZR1. Here's your official project update on both, and I'm gonna tell you exactly why it's taken so long for both these cars to kind of get rolling. First up, the 997, everybody's favorite car, including my own. I brought that car home not really knowing what I wanted to do with it. I didn't know if I wanted to just put an engine in it, drive it, and have a cheap car, or if I really wanted to kind of go all out with it. I came home and I filmed and released 2 videos right away. The more I messed with that car, the more I fell in love with it. The more I fell in love with it, the less I wanted to make it kind of a half-assed build. I don't know if I'll ever get another chance to have kind of a blank canvas car like that, one that wasn't so expensive. I'm scared to cut it up, paint it, cut the roof off of it, as you guys know. So I had to make a call. Do I just take what's available, keep putting out content and doing what I can on short notice to keep a fluid content schedule? Or do I do it once, do it right, even if it means kind of killing the series off for a little bit? You guys obviously know which route I took. I have so many ultra rare and super special parts on the way. None of them were quick, cheap, or easy to get. The engine, that's still being built. Parts shortages everywhere. It's just kind of how it goes. So it's looking like the car is gonna get painted before the engine goes back in it. I'm definitely still not telling you guys the color in this video, but it's of the Porsche PTS palette. I will give you guys a clue in case you feel like doing some work. Our guys over at Chicago Motor Cars, shout out Hassan and Eric, they've had a Porsche there in the last 3 months that is either sold or is still for sale. I'm genuinely not sure. That's the color I'm painting my car. Now there has been one single piece holding up the car from even going to paint. It's kind of a kit and only 3 of the 4 pieces have came in. After getting pushed back month after month, I just told them to send those, we'll work with it, we'll paint the other piece later. So the good news is the car is only a couple weeks from going to paint. We're of course gonna drag it up to Tim at Industry Garage, Street Bandito on YouTube. He's gonna work his magic on it. Then hopefully with any luck, by the time that's done, we'll have an engine for it. Most of the other really rare parts have came in. There is one super ultra mega special part that's actually out in Los Angeles right now. The seller's not comfortable with shipping it, so I'm gonna have to figure that out, whether I get out there or if any of you guys are in the LA area and coming east, coming to a race that's in the middle of the country, somewhere I can meet you, put it in the comments, let me know, maybe we can work something out. That about sums it up on the 997. As for the ZR1, I had every intention to have that car running in January. We had all the parts we need, and then we were dealt a really bad blow. It needed a short block. We sent it out to LME in Texas. That short block was originally quoted to be done in March. Definitely said in the video it's gonna set us back a couple months. It turns out it set us back almost a year. It's just another build held up by the parts shortages. They couldn't find wrist pins. That was the big holdup for them. Ultimately, after waiting months on end, I said, let's just change the pistons. It's not what I originally wanted, but I need to get the thing back because the car is just rotting in the parking lot. Fortunately, the engine's back. I have not even opened it yet. We have such a crazy schedule for the next couple weeks. In fact, we're headed up to Michigan right now to go on tour with eBay Motors. I have a couple weeks in the middle of October that I'll actually be able to work on one of my cars. The 997 is gonna get priority, but I'm hoping to be able to put some time in on the ZR1 as well. The last thing I wanna do with that is release a video and then get bogged down and not be able to release another video for a month. So I'm gonna do it right. I'm gonna make sure when I'm back on the ZR1, I am back on the ZR1, if you know what I mean. No working on it when I have time. When we start wrenching on that thing, it's coming out of the shop running, done, finished. So those are my official project updates. People have obviously been asking about Austin's RX-7 as well. Being that he's not in the car, I will speak for him. That thing is gonna be absurd when it's done. It's just another one of those builds. It's definitely gonna be worth the wait. He also chose to go the dream build route. He's doing a bunch of crazy stuff to it. So even though it's disappeared for a while, when you guys see it next, it's gonna blow your mind. I hope you guys can appreciate the quality over quantity method, even if it's not necessarily the right thing to do for YouTube purposes. One of the questions that I've definitely never told the full story on is the origins of LeeC parts. How I got started, how it got where it is today. That one I'm going to answer in a separate video because I feel like it's going to go on for a long time. I'll try to post it at about the same time I do this one, but I really don't want to make this video 2 hours long. I just knocked out the whole LeeC Parts business story. Definitely going to be a separate video. It goes pretty in depth. I have no idea how long it's going to turn out to be. I was talking for like an hour, though. It's definitely going to get edited down. On to some of the other questions here. I'm going to skip around a little bit to keep it interesting. We'll start with a really good business question. Someone on Instagram asked, what car is your highest ROI percentage? Meaning that in this case, a car that we bought for 5 grand and made 10 on would be better than a car that we bought for 50 grand and made 50 on. I do have to be a little careful here because I don't want to give away all our secrets. There are definitely certain types of certain cars that I know that I'm going to make a killing on and other people don't value. And because I'm sure you guys see the people that are constantly trying to knock us off, we don't even post some of these cars. But anyway, if I had to pick broad scope, one kind of car, it's definitely going to be something cheap because we need to have a chance to run up kind of a high multiple. I would have to go with a high mileage, full front end C5 Corvette. If you get one that's say higher mileage, smashed in the rear, something like that, a lot of those front end parts are worth good money. If you get something with a healthy engine, even if it has say 150,000 miles on it, which aids in keeping the price down, you do have a chance to kind of double or triple your money on that. You can sometimes get them for 4 grand, maybe 5 grand, even though that's kind of still far and few in between. Not sexy to do by any means. They're old, brittle, a lot of stuff's broken, but they are good cars for us. Actually, same dude on Instagram asked a couple really good questions, so I'm just gonna run down them. In the next one, he says, he's been noticing cars go for a ton of money at auction and wondering if we're running into the same issues. Yes, absolutely yes. The market is absolutely jacked up. There's really too many people trying to do this. This is not a shot at anybody in particular, but there are a lot of people who probably should not be doing it as well. And I do realize how that sounds, but obviously I can see what certain other people are paying for cars. I can see how some of them are handling their business, and of course I can see what a majority of their parts are selling for. We know that some people are making some severe mistakes. I'm not sure if they know it yet, but that's just one of the many reasons the salvage market is so jacked up. Now, one other very good question this person asked is that I see some of your parts and other used parts approaching, if not exceeding, the cost of new parts. How does that make sense? And that is actually something we get asked often for good reason. Perfectly reasonable that if you're not in the industry, not fixing a ton of cars, don't have that experience, that you simply wouldn't understand that. So there are a multitude of reasons for that. Sometimes used parts are going to have 100% of the functionality of new parts. If we're talking a mint condition part that is in no way, shape, or form a wear item, yes, it may end up being 90% of the price of new if the market demands that. What truly dictates the price of parts is what people are paying for them. We as sellers can ask whatever we want, but if they don't sell, it doesn't do us any good. Certain items are only going to go for a fraction of new cost. Wear items and items that aren't in high demand.
There's something dead right like in there. I can't tell, like some sort of carcass, like bones. I guess it may be a fox or something.
Gotcha.
I don't know, maybe that coyote's out here or something relatively big.
Huh.
So, but yeah, we can just find a station here soon.
Sounds good. A good example of an item that's cheap because it's a wear item, a used clutch. Even if it's some nice twin disc, triple disc, whatever, it's still a used clutch. Obviously the exception is if it's been just, installed, not ran, abandoned project, something like that. A good example of a part that's a lot cheaper than it would be new, simply because they're not needed that often, are some of the random electrical modules in the car. You might look up a certain computer from Porsche and it might be $1,200. You might find them all day used on eBay for 40 bucks. Just like any other business, it's all supply and demand. Obviously, there are certain cases where you cannot buy new parts anymore, and then we can certainly charge more than what they would have originally cost new. There are other cases where items are just in so high demand that people are happy to pay 90% of new price simply because they need it and their only other option is to buy it new. One other scenario, and I'll use an LS engine as an example. We might be selling an LS3 Corvette Dropout for $9,000. People will say, hey, I could get one from Chevy for $7,500, brand new. Why am I buying yours? They don't take into account the fact that ours comes with a harness, an ECU, a pedal, a MAF sensor, etc., etc. If they truly looked at what it costs to replicate what we are selling on that pallet new, it's going to be another $3,000 or $4,000. People tend to hear just, oh, LS3 engine, $7,500, LS3 engine, $9,000, and be like, what the hell, man? But if you look deeper into it, obviously, apples to apples comparison, a used engine would never cost more than a new engine. It just doesn't make any sense. Moving on, and we will go to a fun one here. A complicated but fun one that I have been looking forward to answering. This question is from YouTube, and I'm gonna read it word for word. Which color C6 is your favorite, and why is it Jetstream blue? It's not. Also, if you had 25K, would you rather buy a C5 Z06 or an LS3 C6, which is something I've debated with people a lot. I mean a lot. That's a great question. We'll start with the C6 color. Jetstream is a cool color. It's not my favorite color by any means. I'm gonna try to list my top 5 C6 colors. Number 1, Inferno Orange, and it's not even close. Number 2, partly due to rarity and not just because it's a cool color, is Night Race Blue. The next color is not a rare one. Cyber Gray. It's a fantastic gray. My first Corvette ever was Cyber Gray. I have a special place for it. Now this is where it gets tricky because we only technically have 2 left. I'm gonna go ahead and I guess I'll place Jetstream Blue at number 5. So that leaves number 4 open. One caveat with Jetstream Blue is I think the Jetstream Blue base cars don't look great. It's gotta be a wide body car and it's gotta be modified. For the next one, I can't make up my mind if I wanna go with something rare or just a color that I like on C6s. Typically I skew towards rare stuff, but some of the rare colors like Carlisle Blue, like it just doesn't look good to me. Le Mans Blue, I'm gonna get hate for this. I don't think it's that great of a blue. Atomic Orange is a good color. I still think if I had to pick one, I'm just going with white. I think white C6s look good. I think even the base model, the narrow bodies, I think they can pull it off. So yeah, I guess that's my top 5. And honestly, if he didn't bring up Jetstream Blue, it might not have made number 5, but he got me thinking about it, so it did. You guys might be wondering where I put Supersonic Blue, being that I own one. I really like the color, but it definitely falls under the I like it because it's rare. If I was gonna respray a car from scratch, it's not gonna be a color like that. Now, the C5Z versus the LS3 C6. That's such a tough question. I don't like the narrow body C6s. I don't think they look good, but you can put wide body fenders on it and fix that. The C5 Z06 or FRC in general is such an awesome looking car to me. I love the way they look. The interior on the C6, worlds better. The LS3 is better than the LS6, obviously, but at the same time, you can stick an LS3 in the C5 Z06. I'm like stumbling over my words here because I'm really debating this. I've been thinking about this for a day now, and I still can't come up with a clear answer. So good for you, man. Great questions all around, and you really stumped me on this one. I think it's gonna depend on how far you're going with the car. If you're doing like a crazy engine setup, you don't necessarily care about the interior, you just want a tough looking, lightweight, badass Corvette, C5 Z06. If you wanna do, you know, minor mods, maybe stick wide body fenders on it and have a nice modern car that's a good driver, especially if it's gonna pull daily duty, it's gotta be the C6. So different cars for different purposes, I suppose. Now another car question not necessarily related to the business. How bad of an idea is it to buy a salvage car to repair it as your primary? I think it's a fantastic idea. I really mean that. I'm in a rebuilt GT4 right now that when I do the price breakdown on this, you're gonna see that I got it for like half price. This car is 110% of the driving experience that a brand new one would be, and it's half the price. When you pick the right salvage car and rebuild it, you don't have to worry about depreciation. You're already in it at a low price. You can just beat the brakes off it, run it into the ground, do whatever. You're gonna spend a lot less money and you may end up driving a car that'd be out of your budget otherwise. The key here is picking the right car. You really need to have somewhat of an idea of what you're doing when you buy something at salvage auction. You can buy an absolute mess. You can buy some hacked together piece of junk that somebody else bought. They made it kind of look a little better, then reran it through auction. If you don't know what you're doing, you can get caught up and end up buying one of those, and you're definitely not gonna be in a good situation and you're gonna lose some money. But with the right salvage car, if you can see all the damage and be reasonably assured that there's nothing hidden, that you're not missing anything, and understand what it's gonna cost you to get that thing back on the road, absolutely, 100% do it. People are so scared of that little 1-digit R on the title once it's rebuilt. To me, it makes no sense. There's all kinds of myths out there about how you can't register them, you can't insure them. None of them are true. At least in my state, Maryland, I have never once had any issue whatsoever registering a rebuilt car, insuring it. It's simply not a problem that exists as far as I know. So if you're one of the people watching the channel saying, hey, I was thinking about my first rebuild, I'd love to do it, do you have any advice? My only advice is do your research. If you have specific questions, ask us. Google the VIN number. Sign up on a site like AutoAuctionHistory.com. I believe that's what it's called. We use it on every car we buy to make sure it's not messed with, to make sure it's not a rerun. It's very cheap. Spending $10 a month on one of those sites is way better than getting caught with your pants down because you didn't do your research. You tried to cheap out, now you got something that somebody set up to look nice, and it's not very nice, and now you're out thousands of dollars. So research, research, research. Don't gamble. Stick to your price. If the deal's not right, don't get caught up in a bidding war. I promise you guys, there's always going to be more. Other than that, absolutely, yes, do it. There was a follow-up question to that asking if there's anything particular we look at. Do we always get to view them in person before we buy? Which, absolutely not. We definitely don't. Ooh, truck of Mustangs. This GT4 I bought sight unseen, spent 55 grand on it. It worked out great. They asked if we care if airbags deploy. Not really. When you're looking at a wrecked car and you're like, man, this thing's nice. Like, it's totaled, it's wrecked, but like everything lines up. The car feels nice, the car looks nice. That's the one you want to buy to rebuild. Oops. What the fuck? What the fuck, dude? Holy shit. Okay, I just knocked all my shit over. Apparently these shit-ass Ohio toll booths, they are not like the Maryland ones. You can't just float through with the Easy Pass. You have to stop. That's fucking stupid. My windshield definitely almost just got karate chopped by one of those little arms. It also almost came down on Dalt right behind me. Jesus Christ. Here's a question that nobody asked, but I'm gonna tell you anyway. Just avoid Ohio. The state sucks. Okay, after a brief, as in like 3-hour hiatus, we're back to it. The question we were on. What's a lesson you had to learn the hard way that you'll never repeat until you do? That is a very easy one, and it's all about what we just talked about. Doing your research and being cautious. There's 3 distinct areas in the kind of eastern half of the country that are notorious for scam cars. Miami, Chicago, Newburgh, New York. A couple years ago, I found a seemingly really good-looking C6 Z06 at salvage auction in Miami. It had a buy it now on it. It looked okay. I didn't see any red flags. Forget what the exact circumstances were. We weren't really looking to buy a ton of cars at that time. Our inventory was full, so I just threw out a make an offer on it. I threw out something horrendously low, like 10 grand, figuring they wouldn't accept it. I think it was a buy it now for like $17,000 or something like that. Because of the fact that I definitely thought it wasn't getting accepted, I didn't really look over the engine bay that well. Well, later that night, the offer gets accepted. Cool, great, kind of weird, but awesome. I pay for it, get it on the way, get it here, and immediately notice I fucked up. As we were unloading it off the car carrier, we noticed there was no transmission, no differential in it. That was when we knew we got. Even when I went back and looked at the pictures, the rear end was not sitting high. I don't know how. I didn't feel terrible about that because even looking back at the pictures after I knew what was up with the car, I couldn't tell that the rear end was sitting high. There was nothing that would have led me to believe that it didn't have a rear end in it. However, it also had the wrong engine in it. I believe it had like a blown up L76 or something like that, and that's what I should have called. Looking back at the pictures, if I would have looked hard enough, it was very clear that it was not an LS7 intake manifold on it. So me throwing out a hasty lowball just got us cooked. Fortunately, there were some good things left in that car, so we didn't lose a ton of money, but we certainly didn't make any. All in all, we probably lost $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 on that car. I definitely took it personally that I missed that because it was 100% on me. I was pretty annoyed with myself. The only saving grace is I'd rather get got on a bargain basement version of a car like that than pay top dollar for something that really needs to be perfect and then find out that that car's been messed with. Since then, I haven't straight overlooked anything that's got us scammed or bought a car that I should have known better on. So hopefully we won't be repeating that. He also said, by the way, I love the GT4 series. I have a 2016 GT4, perfect track car. I agree. I haven't got to use this car as it should be used yet. I've done mainly highway driving with it. I'm not super impressed, but I'm also not using it anywhere near how it needs to be used. Hopefully we'll remedy that very soon. Sticking with a business question, what do you think your business has done to stand out and be successful over similar companies? Presentation, honesty, reliability. That's it. Now I'll move on to some fun ones. This one comes from one of the guys up at A+ Automotive Styling. Tacos or pizza? I didn't think we were going to go down this road. I really didn't. For me, this isn't some intricate discussion. is tacos. Flat out. Could take or leave pizza, but I consider myself a taco connoisseur. I'm a minimalist. Cilantro, onion, corn tortilla, whatever meat, good to go. Of course, gotta have the lime as well. I am also taking taco recommendations in the comments. Anywhere in the country, I'll put together a list. If the tacos are more than $3 each, I don't want it. If it's in a shady gas station where I'm definitely gonna get asked for money on the way in, I do want it. Instead of answering all these separately, we're just talking tattoos. I would be lying to you if I said any single tattoo on my body has any meaning whatsoever, other than I decided the day of, I thought it would look cool and I wanted it. I like getting them when I travel. I like to have a story behind it. I like getting them in random places. I know it's super sketchy to walk in places, but if I can find a good shop that has a walk-in, I'm going with it, and I've lucked out to date. I don't have a single tattoo that I regret or that I feel is poor quality. I will admit to trolling you guys on this one. If you guys watched my R8 road trip video, I said this. I found a decent tattoo shop that actually had room for a walk-in. I said, give me something in Atlanta. They gave me an ice cream cone. I don't really get the relevance. I don't even eat ice cream. But at least it looks cool. I mean, it does get hot down here in the summer. I guess people really love their ice cream. I may have made the same joke in a couple other people's video, and a lot of people ate it up. Hook, line, and sinker. I was laughing. I don't think anybody else got the joke, but I enjoyed it. I knew exactly what this was when I was getting it. We'll leave it there. Maybe by the end of this whole eBay Motors tour, I'll end up with a few more. The newest one is this bomb right here. The owner of a shop in Centerville, right by our shop, saw Austin driving the car, posted something on Facebook, said, hey, who can ID this car? Because they happened to randomly catch it in a photo. Of course, we got tagged. I said, hey, book me a short notice tattoo appointment. I'll bring the car by, we can have some fun. I was in there the next day with the car. The whole place got to check it out. Everybody's kids came and the owner was happy to give me a tattoo for the trouble. Super cool place. Always love to support the Eastern Shore locals. They have a sticker on the R8 now. Also taking tattoo shop recommendations. Another good question here from a real channel OG. What do I need to purchase salvage cars? I'm taking this to mean from auction. I probably will do a video about this at some point because it's been asked over and over. First off, if you have no business ties whatsoever, you're just a normal dude, can buy in a few select public states. Don't quote me on this. I haven't been a public buyer for a long time. I want to say Pennsylvania on Copart. I know North Carolina on IAA. Other than that, if you don't have business ties, you're going to have to use a broker. Didn't get karate chopped that time, so there's that. From there, if you have a general business account, you can buy a little more. That opens up a lot of states to you. As a dismantler, we're pretty much the most permissive. We can buy in almost every state. There are some states that make it exceptionally difficult, like Michigan. You have to go get fingerprinted, which, funny enough, we're going to try to do while we're here. So the next question didn't get asked in this particular way, but I have to cover it. We get asked so often in the comments, why didn't you keep that door, hood, fender, trunk, glass, whatever, when we scrap a car? Trust me, if there was money to be made, we'd be keeping it. Sometimes that perfect looking fender we just scrapped is full of Bondo. Some other parts simply are not worth keeping. There are certain body panels for certain cars that just sit. We could have 5 of them in stock and move 1 every 2 years. It's just not worth the shelf space. Next up, and I quote, how can you like EVs? It's no secret on this channel, I'm an EV fan. What can I say? I like what I like. I bought a Tesla Model 3 Performance really on a whim. We had a partnership with Rich Rebuild. I talked with him for about 10 minutes about Teslas, ordered one that night. There's something about the just immediate torque driving characteristic, especially on track, that I just love. I understand that it's not popular. I understand that I have pretty much no supporters in the EV case on this channel. But at some point, I'm definitely EV swapping something, and it's gonna be something pretty wild. It might be a YouTube flop, but I'm gonna love it. I have an idea in mind for an EV build. I'm definitely not gonna spoil it until it gets way closer, but I will tell you, I'm out to hurt some feelings with it. We will leave that there until I finish my other projects. We have about an hour left in the trip, so I'm gonna finish it off with one recurring question. That question is, of course, why doesn't Alex get a haircut? I don't know, your guess is as good as mine. Talk to him about it. And with that, we are hopping off the highway. We're gonna start taking some back roads now, so this is a wrap. I've easily been talking for 3 or 4 hours of this trip. It's made the time go by really fast. Obviously, it's getting edited down heavily. If you guys did enjoy it, definitely tell me in the comments. I would love to do it again. If you've made it this far, you're obviously not that sick of my voice. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.